Got some good news. Some really good news. You will die someday. Yes, you heard that right. You will die someday. Why is that good news? I'll explain. So, we've evolved to avoid death, right? Every organism, the entire point of every single organism that's ever existed in the history of the universe is to just continue its genetic pattern, its DNA code. And because we're so clever, because we've been given the burden of thought and creativity, we'll spend our entire lives avoiding the unspeakable truth, which is that we know we're going to die. And we know how long we're going to live for, within reason, unless something tragic happens. We're getting more and more of a clear picture all the time. So we avoid it. We avoid talking about it. We avoid talking to other people about it. We avoid thinking about it. And it's a problem because it's probably the most natural part of life, funnily enough, is death, right? I mean, it's gotten to the point with us where we're humans, rejection, historically, evolutionarily speaking, rejection equals death. To be rejected from your group, you're as good as dead. That's why we care so much about what other people think about us. Because we're so desperate to not be rejected, it could kill us. Now that's not what's going to happen nowadays, but it still lingers. We still try to avoid it at all costs because, like I say, we're an animal that can ponder and think, and we can ponder about life, and because we do that, we suffer. That is why we suffer. That's why we're always chasing something. We're always chasing the next best thing because we're trying to avoid suffering. And in the chasing of the things, that is suffering itself. So we keep ourselves distracted with anything. With scrolling on Facebook, with Twitter, with TV, with anything that avoids us from having to suffer. Because there's always that suffering, that nagging question in the background, that reality that eventually we are all going to die. And that's just the truth. There's even cafes and groups that gather to talk about it and act as therapy sessions. So my advice, a bit like money, people don't like talking about money because it's uncomfortable, talk about death with people. Do it. It's liberating. So what might happen after you die? What's it going to be like? Is there any proof of an afterlife? I don't know. But I suspect it's going to be pretty much like before you were born. You're not going to know. It's going to be fine because you don't know. There's a quote by a guy called Mark Twain, and he says, "I don't fear death because it's going to be exactly like the 4 billion years before I was born." Which kind of sums it up, really. But that's us. So what about when other people die, who we care about, who we know? How do we cope with other people dying? It's said, I don't know where I learned this, but we're all going to lose people. We're going to lose pets and people and things like this. But there are around 4 people in your life who you can have in your awareness that you can't ever replace. So when one of those people dies, it really does hit you really deeply into the core, and you really grieve and struggle to ever get over it. So we do have these people, but if you're not one of those 4, if someone's not one of those 4 people, you'll typically recover quite well. And the way I always imagine it is, think about my granddads, right? My granddads who I would love to spend time talking to again. I'll never get a chance to do that again. But they're still there they still appear in my consciousness. When I close my eyes and think about them, I think about conversations that we've had, some of the times in bygone years, what we spent together, some of the lessons I learned from them, some of the personality traits that I inherited from them. I can see them just as clearly in my mind's eye as if they were there. So in a way, they kind of are still there. Yeah, they're not physically there in front of me, but if my mind is seeing them, just like when I open my eyes and I look at this printer I can see here, my eyes are seeing it, but my mind is seeing it as well. The same way, somebody in your conscious mind is appearing there when you want them to. So they kind of are still with you. That's why I think it's sometimes, that's what a legacy is. People leave a legacy. People leave things behind, like, I don't know, whether it's music or something amazing that they did in their life. Some of the stuff that my granddads did, they left that legacy, and it lives on through me, through the thoughts that I think of them, and through the lessons that I will now pass on to my kids. So they kind of do live on in physical terms, not just metaphorical terms, because thoughts are things, right? I don't know if you knew that, but a thought is a thing as well. It's a vibration. But there's no right way to grieve, but you have to grieve. A lot of people act in different ways when they lose someone, but there's no real right way to grieve, but you have to grieve. It's an important process. That's what a funeral is. Humans have created all these weird rituals for reasons. The boring rituals that you have to sit through, the weddings, the christenings, the funerals, all this stuff. Humans have created these over thousands upon thousands upon thousands of years because they symbolize, they get right into the core of who we are without us realizing it. A funeral, for example, is a ritual of taking us through the grieving process. That's why it's important to attend funerals. I'm going to a funeral tomorrow with a friend, which kind of got me thinking about this whole thing. And he wants everyone to wear black, and he planned it because he died young. And I know from the conversations that me and him had that he will have understood all of this. Because he was a clever guy, and we spoke about books and things like this that we both read and recommended things to each other. And he will have understood all this. He will have understood the symbology of it. So he didn't want one of these, let's all have a party and remember, and let's all have a party and forget about it. He wanted I want people to grieve, because it's important that we grieve. It's necessary that we grieve if we lose somebody. So we can't bottle it up. Do not bottle things up. Do not bottle anything up ever, because especially something close to you, like a person, losing a person, grieving is healthy. The grieving process is healthy. Do you know what the meaning of life is? The meaning of life, you're not going to like this, but the meaning of life is that it stops. The fact that something has lived and been around, it will end. That is a law of the universe, the same as gravity is. Entropy is called entropy. Life will stop. But it's a good thing. It's a good thing it stops, because it adds a finiteness to it. It adds a rarity that we need to cherish. We are a fucking blip. We are a blip in history. If there was a bookshelf that was 10 miles long, imagine 10 miles from here to the other side of your city, that long with books, stacked from back to back with books, the human race would represent one page of one book. That's how tiny amount of time we've been here. And we have been there a tiny, tiny, tiny representation of that one page. We are here for the smallest amount of time. Meteors pass across our planet daily. Ones that could easily wipe off every single living organism, including germs, forever. They pass across our planet daily. If a meteor is coming from behind the sun, we don't know if it's even coming because we can't see behind the sun, and it would wipe us out. These things happen daily. We don't even know it. There's active volcanoes that if they explode, they would create a nuclear winter, a volcanic winter, that would wipe out all life on Earth. This could actually happen, and it's happened many times in the past. But we're so complacent of our existence. We're so complacent that we don't even take it. We don't even appreciate the finiteness of it all. The chances of us even being alive is around 4 trillion to 1. And just to kind of give you a tiny little part of that, that's you as one sperm beating all those other millions or billions of sperm cells, then even being in an environment to grow, then your parents even having met in the first place, and then their parents even met in the first place, and ad infinitum for thousands of generations. Literally every single one of your ancestors had to by chance meet, and every single one of those sperm cells had to be the exact one in order for you to be who you are right now. Now, if that is not small chances, I don't know what is. We've got to cherish it. It's finite. We've got to drop the meaningless and needless things. The argument that you'll have on Facebook later on today, no doubt, or you had yesterday. That person who you're arguing one day will die. And so that every single person who they care about, they will die too. They're not here. The argument that you're having with them means nothing. It means absolutely nothing. And one day, you'll literally pay anything to go back to this moment that you're having an argument with that person with. You will love to go back to this level of health again. You'll love to go back to this level of suppleness and beauty again. But you're going to lose it, and you're going to waste it through wasting your time on needless and pointless things. The only thing that we can really be certain of, for certain, is this moment right now. That is it. We can't be certain of anything else. When was the last time? There's a last time in everything that we do. I would just give my daughter a lift home, and there was a last time that I picked her up. I didn't know that was going to be the last time that I picked her up when it was 4 years ago, whenever it was, I don't know. But I didn't know that was the last time that I'd ever do that. My friend whose funeral is tomorrow, Ben, I had a conversation with him. We chatted. I played some songs on ukulele. I spoke to his kids. We chatted, about general shit. And I didn't know at that time that was the last time that I would ever speak to him. Now, how do you think I would feel if I got a chance to go spend that time again with him? Do you think I'd cherish it a little bit more? I do. I was completely unaware that would be the last time that I ever speak to him. There's a saying, you die twice. You die when your physical body dies, and then the second time you die is when people speak your name for the last time. I thought that was quite powerful. And what that tells me is that we have to do something with this life that we've been given. We have to. We don't all have to do something amazing. We don't all have to be Barack Obama. We don't all have to be Mother Teresa. But we can do the good thing right in front of us right now. You have the power to do that. You do. You have the power to appreciate this moment, and you have the power to do something good with this moment. Regardless of whatever else happens, this moment is a choice for you right now. And you can leave the world in a better place just by doing that. Thank you, guys. I love you. I'll see you later on. Bye.